Having been a Bears fan for 28 years now, you would think I would know better, and usually I do. But every once in a while, I still have these thoughts creep into my head that this organization is actually going to get it, and they're going to become a first rate organization, and they're going to figure things out, and they're going to understand how the world of the NFL today really works. But then this organization consistently chooses to slap me in the face time after time after time, and so many other Bears fans in the face time after time after time. Now, many Bears fans are finally starting to wisen up and smarten up and realize what's going on, but you still have those hangers on that, I give them credit. They love the team just like I love the team. They just choose to express it in a different way, and they choose to believe the bullshit that this organization consistently trots out there. Or look at it this way: the first time the Bears made the Super Bowl, I was 4 years old. They won it. The next time they made it, I was 25 and they lost it. I don't want to be 46 years old the next time the Bears make the Super Bowl in the 2027 season. But more and more every day, that's the reality that is staring me in the face. Because this organization clearly has no fucking clue what they are doing. Period. You can imagine my surprise today when I found out that not only had the Chicago Bears signed Jay Cutler, and, of course, going against everything that I've said for a long period of time because I'm right and they are wrong, they have chosen to make a long term commitment and investment into him. 7 years, $126 million type of investment and commitment. Now, we need to understand, first and foremost, let's not focus on the 7 years, $126 million, because Cutler will never see the end of that. That's how the nature of NFL contracts are today. It's all about the guaranteed money. Cutler got $54 million in guaranteed money over the next 3 years. So this is basically a 3-year, $54 million contract as the way it stands right now to a guy who's going to be 31 next year. $54 million over 3 years. That is $18 million per season. That is approximately 15% of your salary cap, or close to it, each of the next 3 seasons, for a guy who definitely is not an elite quarterback, and nobody would argue that, and really, frankly, has done nothing to establish himself as a long-term answer and a franchise quarterback for the Chicago Bears. $54 million over 3 seasons. Wow. You would think after 5 years you would learn. You would think after 5 years you would know better. But clearly, Phil Emery and Marc Trestman and the Chicago Bears do not. What I really don't get is why you would want to continue to hitch your wagon to a guy that ultimately got the previous general manager and the previous head coach fired. And that's basically what happened. That's why Jerry Angelo is no longer the GM of the Chicago Bears, and why Lovie Smith is now the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's because they hitched their wagon to Jay Cutler's dim-ass star, and they got burned. And they got fired. But apparently Emery and Trestman just love this guy, and they're going to ride with him. Now here's what I don't understand. Is statistical evidence in history clearly indicates that the Bears, once again, are choosing to go about things in a completely ass-backwards way. And here's what I mean. Out of the 12 teams that made the playoffs in this 2013 NFL season, 9 of those 12 teams drafted their starting quarterback. 9 of the 12. That's 75%. 3 out of 4. 3/4. 75%. Out of that 9, only 2 of them were number 1 overall selections. 2 more were first rounders. Philip Rivers, you might say, oh, he's a draft day trade. Okay, come on. Let's get realistic here. He was a 4th overall selection in 2004, and Aaron Rodgers was like the 25th overall selection in 2005. 2 of the starters in this year's playoffs were second-round picks in 2011, which was perceived to be a weak quarterback class. That's Dalton in Cincinnati and Kaepernick in San Francisco. You had 2 other quarterbacks that are starting in this year's playoffs who were third-rounders in 2012 when everybody was talking about Luck and RG3. Well. What about Russell Wilson and Nick Foles? Two quarterbacks are free agent signings. That's Drew Brees all the way back in 2006, and then Peyton Manning in 2012. And then only one of the 12 starting quarterbacks in the playoffs this year was acquired by his team via an offseason trade, and that would be Alex Smith of the Kansas City Chiefs. And I assure you, the Kansas City Chiefs are not winning the Super Bowl with Alex Smith this year or any time in the near or even distant future. Think about that, though. Only one of the 12 teams that even made the playoffs traded for their quarterback. 1 out of 12. 9 out of the 12 drafted their guy. What don't the Bears get about this? What don't the Bears understand about this? In today's NFL, where the quarterback position is going to take up such a huge chunk of your salary cap, when you're paying a veteran guy or a franchise or elite quarterback, why would you tie up so much money into one position when that guy hasn't proven to be that guy? Especially when he was a guy that you gave up the farm for to trade for back in 2009 to begin with, when only one team that made the playoffs this year has a quarterback starting for them that they actually traded for. Only 2 others are free agent signings, and the other 9 were drafted by their teams, including 5 of the 9 not even being drafted in the first fucking round. Let's go a little bit further here. Ultimately, you play to win the game and you play to win championships. Over the past 20 years, only 6 quarterbacks in the last 20 years have won Super Bowls with a team that they weren't drafted by. That's Steve Young in 94 with the 49ers, Favre in 96 with the Packers, Kurt Warner in 99 with the Rams, Trent Dilfer in 2000 with the Baltimore Ravens, Brad Johnson in 2002 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Drew Brees in 2009 with the New Orleans Saints. Out of those 6, 4 of them, Young, Favre, Warner, Brees, are Hall of Famers. The other 2, in Dilfer and Johnson, were quarterbacks of teams where they were primarily asked not to screw things up too much because they had dominant, all-time great defenses that were going to win them a championship. Well, Jay Cutler sure as hell is no Hall of Famer like Steve Young or Brett Favre or Kurt Warner or Drew Brees. And with today's Chicago Bears organization, he sure as hell doesn't have that championship contending dominant defense that Dilfer had with the 2000 Ravens or Brad Johnson had with the 2002 Buccaneers. What astounds me the most, though, is when you look at the money that they gave Jay Cutler. And I had to write this down because I didn't want to skip a step. I just wanted to talk about how truly stupid this really fucking was. Basically, with Jay Cutler, they pretty much gave him Matt Ryan money. And I'm using all of these comparisons starting with the 2009 season, which is Jay Cutler's first season in Chicago. He's been with Chicago for 5 years now, and it's going to be at least another 3 more down the road. They basically gave him Matt Ryan money without Matt Ryan's 3 4,000-yard passing seasons in the past 5 years, his 2 Pro Bowl appearances, his 4 16 games played seasons, his 4 playoff appearances, and his 2 division championships. Makes a lot of sense, right? You basically gave him Matt Ryan money without the Matt Ryan pedigree and accomplishments. You gave him Tony Romo money without Romo's 3 4,000-yard passing seasons in the past 5 years, his 3 Pro Bowl appearances, and his 3 seasons of playing all 16 games. You gave him Joe Flacco money without his 5 straight 3,600-yard passing seasons, his 5 16-game seasons, his 4 straight years with at least 1 playoff win, his 2 divisional titles, and oh yeah, a Super Bowl ring. They basically gave him better than Matthew Stafford money without Stafford's 3 straight 4,000-yard passing seasons, including his 5,000-yard passing season, his 40-plus touchdown season, his 3 seasons where he's actually played all 16 games, his 2 wins head-to-head against the other in 2013. Let me paint a picture here. They gave Jay Cutler more than Matt Stafford money when he lost head-to-head against Matt Stafford twice in 2013. His numbers in those 2 games combined from Cutler, 48 of 87, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a fumble lost. More turnovers than touchdowns, 0 wins, 2 losses. That screams to me, let's give the guy more money than Matthew Stafford. Oh, who, by the way, has put up better numbers and is quite a few years younger. Matt Stafford's not going to be 31 in the 2014 season. Jay Cutler is. Oh, but the best thing of all, is they basically gave him Aaron Rodgers money. Without Aaron Rodgers' 4,000 yard passing seasons in the past 5 years, his 30+ touchdown seasons, his one season included in there where he had 45 touchdown passes, his 5 years of a quarterback rating over 100, his one conference championship, his one MVP award, his one Super Bowl ring, his one Super Bowl MVP, without his 3 straight divisional titles, and without the 9-1 head-to-head record against the other guy. Jay Cutler is 1-9 against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers since 2009 as a starter. The Packers have now won 3 straight divisional titles. Until proven otherwise, the Green Bay Packers are the gold standard in that division. Of course, that's why Phil Emery drafted Kyle Long in the first round this year, because he felt it was important to block Nick Fairley and Ndamukong Suh, even though the Packers and Clay Matthews and Aaron Rodgers are the big problem, and they're the ones that won yet another division title here in 2013. So you basically gave Jay Cutler Matt Ryan money when he's older and not as good and not as accomplished. You basically gave him Tony Romo money without the statistical prowess. You basically gave him Joe Flacco money without the Super Bowl title and the playoff wins. You basically gave him more than Matthew Stafford money when Matthew Stafford beat Jay Cutler twice head-to-head this year, is younger and has more statistical prowess, needless to say. And then when you look at Aaron Rodgers, do I even need to go any fucking further than that? What this screams of to me is that the Chicago Bears organization lacks confidence in their ability to evaluate talent, and in particular the quarterback position. 5 of the 12 starters, in the playoffs were not first-round picks by their team, that were drafted by their team. Brady was a 6th-round pick. Kaepernick and Dalton, 2nd-round picks. Wilson and Foles, 3rd-round picks. The point I'm getting at is, don't buy that bullshit that you have to be a number 1 overall pick as a quarterback in order to be a great quarterback or be a Hall of Famer. How many number 1 overall picks that have been quarterbacks have actually made the Hall of Fame? What, Elway? Aikman? I mean, how many? The answer is not a lot. Peyton Manning someday is going to be on that list, absolutely. It's not a lot. Look at how many Hall of Fame quarterbacks are. Terry Bradshaw, if you go back farther than that. There's not a lot of them, is my point. A lot of quarterbacks have been chosen number 1 overall, but a lot of them have not been Hall of Famers. A few of them have. But there are a lot of other quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame that were drafted in all different areas of the draft. For the Chicago Bears to sit there and on January 2nd, about a month plus away from free agency, to overreact and outbid themselves and basically give Jay Cutler a fucking Alfonso Soriano contract with absolutely no reason to, when this organization needs to understand that in order to be a championship contender anytime in the next 3 to 4 years, they must totally and completely rebuild that defense, which means freeing up a ton of money and not tying up 15% of their damn salary cap each of the next 3 years into a quarterback who has only played one 16-game season, has 0 4,000-yard passing seasons in his 5 years in Chicago, has made 1 playoff appearance, has 1 playoff victory, only has 1 division title, 1-9 against the Green Bay Packers, and has missed the playoffs each of the past 3 seasons. This is the guy that you want to roll with up to 7 years, but at least for sure the next 3 years. You're telling me that it's so bad in this draft that you have 0 confidence in your abilities to evaluate talent and scout the quarterback position, with Trestman being this great fucking quarterback guru that he is alleged to be. All the while, you had Josh McCown clearly outplay Jay Cutler, a 34-year-old former high school teacher, journeyman quarterback, outplayed the guy you just gave $54 million fucking dollars in guaranteed damn money. A 34-year-old scrub outplays Jay Cutler. 9 of the 12 teams in the playoffs are there with a quarterback that they drafted. But the Chicago Bears have decided to hitch their wagon and hitch their star to another regime's failed quarterback. Phil Emery, Marc Trestman. Someday soon in the next couple of years, you will be joining Jerry Angelo and Lovie Smith in being former members of the Chicago Bears organization. This is stupidity of the highest order. and the Bears deserve exactly what they get over the next several years. And any of you Bear fans that defend this shit, fuck you. I'm tired of you making lousy ass excuses for a stupid ass second rate organization. Fuck Jay Cutler.